Greetings, this is M squared, and we're going to solve some inequalities. We're going to kind of go up a step. Let me try to focus that again. And we want to keep in mind what each of those symbols mean, because sometimes it gets confusing. So if you don't know that, you probably want to write that down. Also told you when we're going to have closed circles and open circles, because we need to graph these on a number line. So our goal, just like when we solve equations, is to get the x alone. So we need to get rid of parentheses here, because both of these are parentheses. Then we'll get our variables alone on one side. So in this first one, I need to get rid of these parentheses. Now some people would just divide by -3 right now. You can do that, but most people at this level are going to distribute through. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you that. So -3 times y is -3y, and -2 times -3 is +6. So all I did there was simplify this left side. I didn't multiply both sides by a negative. Because you need to keep in mind when you do that, you do need to switch the inequality sign. But we didn't do that at this point. So now we're going to get y alone. So first, I always get rid of whatever's being added or subtracted if the parentheses are gone. So when I do that, I get -3y is greater than or equal to 3. And now I need to get rid of this -3, so I'm dividing by a negative. That means I have to switch the inequality sign because I just divided by a negative. And when I do that, I get y is less than or equal to a -1. So to graph that, I go to -1 and I put a closed circle. When the variable is on the left, I follow the arrow. If the variable was on the right, maybe I'll do that on that one, just to show you, then I go the opposite of the arrow if the variable ended up on the right. So here, we're going to make our arrow that way. Some people darken in the line and darken that arrow. I don't think it matters unless your teacher says so. So this is my solution, and this is my graph. Okay, let's get rid of parentheses in number 2. So we're going to distribute the 8. I'm going to multiply both things by 8. 8 times 2x is 16x. 8 times -1 is -8. And then on the other side there was nothing to simplify, so we just write it down. And just because I want you to see what it's like to have the variable on the right side, I'm going to put it on the right side. Normally I wouldn't do that because I always want to put it on whichever side's greater than with the variable. 16 is bigger than 11, because then I don't have to worry about negatives, but we're okay with negatives. So I'm going to move the 16x over. Cancels out on that side. I get -x is greater than -5x. I hope I said -8. I might have said something else. And then I'm going to move the numbers over. So I'm going to say -22 from both sides. Cancels out there. So I have a -5x on this side, and a -8 minus 22 is -30. Now I'm going to divide by -5 to get rid of the x. Notice I just divided by a negative. That means this has to switch. So it was greater than. It's now going to be less than. So I have an x, and I get a +6. So we have x, if we read it this way, I should say, 6 is less than x, but if we read it this way, x is greater than 6. So when I go to make my number line, here's my 6. It's an open circle. And then since x is on the right, I do the opposite of the arrow. So the arrow is pointing to the left, I would go to the right. That's just how I remember. But you can also read it. If it says x is greater than 6 going this way, then I know that all the numbers I want are greater than 6. If it says 6 is less than x, then I know that all the x's, 6 is less than all the x's, so it still would be that way. So you could logically figure that out. So that's a little bit more in depth, and good luck solving linear inequalities. This is M squared signing out.